Hello, everyone. As you said, my name is Joe Aumuller, and today I'll be presenting on the hepatitis E outbreak in Fangak County in South Sudan, and our study of coverage and acceptance from this vaccination campaign of targeting women of reproductive age. Let me see if I've got this right. Yeah, great. So MSF has operated a hospital in Old Fangak since 2014. It's located in the Sud Swamp, which you can see in the image to the left, which has greatly expanded since an extreme flooding event in 2019. It does both inpatient and outpatient care for a population of over 146,000 people. And what you'll see actually in this map to the left is located not too far from Bentiu, where Etienne carried out his study and the outbreak shortly before. So since April 2023, we have detected 585 suspect cases of hepatitis E at the Old Fangak Hospital, 261 of whom have been identified as hepatitis E positive via rapid diagnostic test, and 21 of whom have died. Of those hepatitis E patients, we found 113 of them to be women aged 16 to 45, and 8 of whom who died, unfortunately, were pregnant women. And you'll see in this epidemiological curve to the right, as we were detecting these cases, there were 3 major events that took place. One you'll see in the pink is when we implemented a new case definition, which allowed us to detect more suspected cases in the hospital. And then in the green, when we began our first and second vaccinations campaign rounds. And you'll see a precipitous drop-off in suspected cases after the second round of vaccination. So since we first detected these cases in April, the South Sudanese Ministry of Health declared an outbreak of hepatitis E in South Sudan in Fangak County in September of 2023. OCP finalized their plans to conduct a vaccination 2 months later in November, and then in December began the first round of vaccination. And the second round began in January of 2024, and in February, Epicentre began its study of this vaccination campaign, and as we speak today, the third round is beginning now in Old Fangak. And so what this led to was this strategy conducted by OCP, which was designed very similar to Bentiu with some differences. So 3 rounds were designed following the manufacturer's guidelines of giving the doses at 0, 1, and 6 months, which corresponded to December of 2023, January and May of 2024, using the Hecolin vaccine. And this was done in 2 areas, the Old Fangak and Mariang Touch Payam areas. But the key difference for OCP was the selection in exclusively women aged 16 to 45. And this target population came from both the minimum age requirements recommended by the vaccine manufacturer, as well as both the feasibility, cost, and epidemiological evidence at the beginning of the outbreak, where OCP decided to cut off at the 45-year mark and exclusively select women that were both pregnant and non-pregnant. And the challenges faced by OCP in this area were immense. Unlike Bentiu, this is not a camp environment in the swamp. So the logistics to provide cold chain storage, access the area exclusively through boats and planes, as well as reaching these villages. You'll see in the bottom left, actually, as part of our study team trying to go between the different villages, which require traversing shallow and deep bodies of water, often by small canoe. And that also, another challenge was the health promotion and mobilization required to sensitize this community to a new vaccine and this very, very specific target population. And so some of the achievements of the vaccine so far have been, the vaccination campaign they've reached over 10,000 women, and the expansion of the vaccination campaign into 2 new areas as well. So what the vaccination campaign didn't tell us, though, beyond administrative coverage, was what we wanted to look into as Epicentre in this study. So we wanted to look into how much coverage we had achieved in the acceptance of this vaccine and vaccination strategy in the larger area. So we took a mixed methods approach, as well as included adverse events monitoring and hospital case-based surveillance with 4 objectives: vaccination coverage, acceptance of the vaccination campaign and vaccine, safety, as well as describing the outbreak. Today we'll only be presenting on the first 2. And the methods that we used to do this was a WHO coverage survey, standardized WHO coverage survey, as well as focus group discussions and in-depth interviews to gauge the acceptance in the community. So what was most impressive in the coverage is you'll see here that once we did this survey, we found around 94% of our participants that we had interviewed had received 1 or more doses through verbal recollection or through the presentation of their vaccination cards. And 77% had received 2 or more doses through verbal recollection or the presentation of their card. So in this study, we originally had a target population of 1,050 women, and we were able to surpass that and interview almost 1,250. And so once we had conducted this coverage survey and understood how many people had possibly received the vaccine, we also wanted to know how this was received, which is where the in-depth interviews and focus group discussions came in. And what we found was that there was incredibly high acceptance of the vaccine itself. At the beginning of the vaccination campaign and in these interviews, we found that many community members were driven to take the vaccine through perceptions of fear and high risk. And as they received more information through health promotion and sensitization and seeing cases decline in the hospital, there was a really positive impact in accepting the vaccine, understanding that it protects the community, that it was protecting pregnant women and women in the community. And you'll see in one of our quotes here, that's one woman we interviewed said, with the second dose, people have realized that spreading of hepatitis E has reduced and is no longer a threat to the community where it was killing people before. What was most interesting, though, is while the vaccine was very accepted in the community, the vaccination strategy, we actually struggled with our coverage, with our acceptance. And so this came down to two sub-themes within this acceptance of the vaccination strategy, the first of which was that the vaccination strategy didn't match the experience or the sensitization that had been done leading up to the vaccination campaign. And that was that in more people in interviews and discussions reported concerns about a strategy targeting only one group for whom the disease is more dangerous when they knew that it infected so many others in their community. And I think this came generally from an understanding of they had been told through the health and sensitization promotion campaign that the entire community was at risk, despite the vaccination selecting this group for a myriad of reasons. And then the second part of this was the vaccination strategy does not necessarily match the community priorities of fairness and equality and health for all, that they should be protecting their children, that they were even willing to share doses so that more people could receive some protection rather than only a few of their community receiving full protection. And this is also highlighted in the quote at the bottom, which says from a woman we interviewed that I think there is a problem because the disease is infecting everyone. It does not infect women in those aged 16 years. Hepatitis E does not wait until turning 16 to infect someone. It infects everyone. And so again, what we concluded from this qualitative assessment was that there really needs to be strong harmonization between the efforts of the vaccination campaigns, health promotion and sensitization with the strategy that was designed so that the community truly understands why reasons were made and decisions were taken to conduct this vaccination campaign as we go into the third round. And so with that, I'd like to acknowledge the South Sudanese Ministry of Health who allowed us to conduct this study and this vaccination campaign. Both Yolanda Waldang, the Minister of Health in South Sudan, and Peter Gakir, who's the Director of County Health in Fangak County. Again, Robin Nesbitt, the Principal Investigator of this study, who couldn't be with us here today, my colleagues at Epicentre, and my Field Coordinator Assistant, TH, who led us through a lot of difficult times in the swamp. And finally, our team that braved incredibly difficult conditions to reach and access all of these remote villages in Fangak County. So, thank you.